Okay, so I'm not a big fan of some of the latest updates, and I'm going to explain why. Okay, let's start with 1.20.90. So in this update we got the happy guest and the dried guest and all these different saddle types you can put on the happy guest. Now, I for one was kind of excited when the happy guest was first announced. My friend sent me a video about it and I was like super hyped. But when the thing actually came out, I didn't use it as much as I thought I would. Like, it is kind of useful for building, but it's just really, really slow. It is helpful for a platform because you can walk on him and he won't move. But other than that, other than building and just having him as a pet, I don't think he really belongs in the game as much as some of the other mobs that they've added. And he also is pretty big, which is a big part of me not liking him as much because it's just hard to find a space for him without just tying him to a post and he also kind of looks ugly if you're just kind of looking at him and he's just floating around. He doesn't go well with your base. I'll say that. Moving on to 1.21.111. This is the Copper Age. We got a bunch of new blocks. And I'll just start with these. These were actually really useful. I do actually like some of these because they add a lot of new, I guess, character to your game and also some more better block palettes too. And they oxidize, so you get like different shades of different colors, and you can stop the oxidate. Yeah, I can't say it. Oxidizing, I guess, with um if you wax it, and that'll make it stop wherever you want it to, or you could just keep it on the just the orangish color. And then we got the copper tools and armor. And I personally like this a lot. I use this in my last survival world that I started. I used copper tools and armor like at the beginning of the game for like the first like 30 days. It was super helpful. They're super copper is like really easy to find, and Mojang really helped us out on this one because we've been asking for this a while, and they finally added this, so copper is actually useful now. So I definitely like this part a lot. Shelves. These are definitely a game changer. It's basically an item frame, but there's 3 slots. So I've had problems in the past when I'm making my storage rooms. I can only have like one item above the chest to show me what's in there, but now I can have multiple, and they're all in different colors, and you can use them for a bunch of different things. Like some of my friends have used them for blinds or window covers for their houses, and they get that you can make them in all the wood types. Okay, copper golems. To be honest, I'm also not a huge fan of these guys. I mean, they're cute and all. They're pretty useful for if you're kind of lazy with how you sort the stuff, but other than sorting stuff, they're not really that useful. I mean, once they oxidize, then they freeze, and you can have statues, which I guess is pretty cool for building wise and stuff. But they're not quite as efficient as a whole hopper system. They are cheaper, but not as efficient, and I don't really use them at all. Going to the newest update, 1.20.30. This added a lot of things. So let's start with the Nautilus. We've got the Nautilus and the Zombie Nautilus. So, and they have all these different types of armor and craftable saddles. You can turn diamond horse armor into netherite horse armor. Same for the Nautilus shells. And you just ride these guys underwater. You gotta tame them with a puffer fish. Tame them with a puffer fish. And hold on, I gotta grab a saddle. You can use a saddle to ride them underwater so you can do your building and you don't drown when you're riding them. So that's definitely helpful. Was it necessary to add into the game? I don't think it was that necessary. I mean, they do have Nautilus shells, which when it kind of doesn't make sense because there's no Nautiluses in the game. It is kind of nice to have something that you can ride underwater, so that's pretty cool. I mean, horses in this update were changed so that you can ride, you don't get kicked off when they're in water. But this is something you can actually ride underwater. I don't really make very many underwater bases, so it's not super useful for me. But I guess if you like making underwater bases or do you just like having a bunch of pets or something, these will be great for you. I'm just not a huge fan, but I think they are a better addition than the Happy Guest. Okay, zombie horses. Now, these have been in the game for a while, but they never have spawned in naturally. And when they do spawn in, they spawn with a zombie riding on top with a spear, and we'll get to that in a second. But these guys with the zombie on top with the spear are actually pretty hard to beat because they're fast and they pretty much have reach because of the spear. But they do burn in the sunlight, so that's definitely a downside. If you can tame them, but if you do end up taming them, you kind of got to keep them out of the sun or they'll just burn and then you lose them. And they are pretty fast, but I think this was a cool addition. I think it was worth it. Definitely better than both the Happy Guest and the Nautilus, because it's actually something useful and it's rare. Anyway, on to these guys. I don't even remember what they're called. Hold on. These are the parched. So they're basically a skeleton version of the husks. So they don't burn in fire and they don't burn in sunlight. And I don't know if they give you any effect. They might give you hunger. I haven't tried them out yet. I just kind of read a little bit on the read only a little bit on these guys. So I don't know a lot about them. I know they spawn in the desert and they can't burn up. So they're basically skeleton husks. So I think it is kind of a cool addition. Was it needed? Probably not. Is it cool? I guess so, yeah. It just makes the desert a lot harder. Okay, on to spears. Now this is probably my favorite part of this edition, in this update, but I think it's pretty much most people's. Because, first of all, you get the spear part, and then you have the lunge, but I don't have the lunge enchantment on right now. But you can't, if you're right in front of something, you can't hit them. You just hit the stuff behind them, which kind of makes sense because like the spear tip is at the far in front, and you can make any of these. You've got all the variations: wood, stone, iron, copper, gold, diamond, and netherite. And this also came with a new enchantment. So if we put this new enchantment lunge on here, it makes you lunge forward when you do the attack, which is definitely helpful. And also you can use this for if you wanted to run faster to boost yourself, just in exchange for extra. It just takes away extra hunger bars. So there is definitely a learning curve for PvP with this, but I think it's definitely gonna be cool. When I first heard about this, I was kind of skeptical. I wasn't a big fan of them Mojang adding a lot of new items into the game because then it wouldn't just feel like Minecraft. But I have been using this nonstop on my survival world right now, and I think it's one of the best parts of the updates in this past year. These are so cool. Okay, last but not least, we have the camel husk, which I don't even know how he escaped. I think he went over here. There he is. I haven't read a lot about these guys or how they spawn. I'm assuming they just spawn maybe like the horsemen, where with a husk on top and a spear, but I'm not sure. They definitely look pretty cool. They look just like a starved camel, but I don't know a lot about these guys. so I can't really say much about them other than I guess they're just a desert or a hostile version of the regular camo. So I guess that's pretty cool. Was it needed? Probably not. I mean, it's pretty cool. I like when they add variation. Like the wolf update, that was pretty cool. They just changed some skins for each biome on the wolves, so that was pretty cool. So I think it definitely was a worth it add-on to the game.